Late summer in Sardis can be very hot, and 42 BC was no different. The sun beat down on the 80,000 men of the 19 legions assembled by the heroic tyrannicides Marcus Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus. The two commanders, imperators in the Roman lexicon, had drawn up their regiments in order to pay bonuses to the soldiers. With an uncharacteristic rhetorical flourish, Cassius promised, "We have given you all that was promised and have other funds ready for still larger rewards." Drawing upon the imagery of his friend, leading Republican politician Cicero, he continued, "As regards money, which some call the sinews of war, we have plenty." The soldiers were satisfied, and the army set off through Western Asia Minor, and it was at this point that possibly the most famous coin in history was struck. There, upon the trail, under the sponsorship of Marcus Brutus. This is the Ides of March coin. In recent times, examples of this coin have been sold for hundreds of thousands of pounds, exceptional specimens struck in gold or more commonly silver, representing a denarii, or historically 10 asses, in the currency of the military. My version, sadly, is just a modern replica, but it represents the event that over 2 millennia ago, where dictator for life, Julius Caesar, was struck down by a cabal of aristocratic conspirators in the name of the perceived ancient constitution of Rome. The Ides of March, March the 15th, have echoed down to us through the generations when the conspirators, with weapons hidden in togas or smuggled into the temporary Senate chamber in the theatre of Pompey, cut down the regime head, Julius Caesar. On one side of the coin we see the event commemorated. 2 daggers are shown, framing a cap of liberty. The cap was a symbol of the garment often worn by those former slaves to mark their freedom, and is recorded as being borne aloft by the conspirators as they left the chamber. On either side, 2 daggers are shown, representing these 2 conspirators, imperators, Roman Republican heroes, Brutus and Cassius, now leading the military arm striking for the Republic. If you look closely, one fascinating detail on the coin is that the daggers are shown differently, one with a rounded pommel and one with a cruciform hilt. An utterly unnecessary detail, suggesting that this might actually be the representation of the real weapons used in the assassination. On the reverse side, an image of Marcus Brutus shows the middle-aged politician, serious with a sunken, resolute expression. The coin reads, Brut, Imp, Brutus, Imperator. To me, this coin is the clearest mark of both change and continuity at this momentous point in European history. For the coin commemorates the change, the return, as many saw it, to the constitutional rule under the structured, mixed leadership of the Republican Senate. Octavian, Caesar's nephew and adopted heir, had assumed the authority and had his head turned by the power of Caesar. He'd reversed Caesar's forgiveness of those who had fought against him and was busy consolidating his own base. Brutus, surprisingly naive at key points, had finally recognized that he had triggered a no-holds-barred conflict for the future of the Roman government. Within weeks of these coins being minted, Cassius was dead by his own hands, mistakenly believing that the day was lost at the first battle of Philippi, and Brutus followed by the same means, defeated only 3 weeks later at the second. Octavian was to consolidate power and ultimately cast aside the fig leaf of authority beneath the will of the Senate. This was the formal end of the Republic and the beginning of the age of the Roman Empire. Beyond the political change, this coin also represents another important change: its use to betray the power of those represented on one side. It is true that Julius Caesar had minted coins with his own image, but this imitation of the tyrant set an example that was to be copied throughout the duration of the empire. Brutus's image, drawn from the image plates travelling in the caravan of the fateful imperator, reflected and projected his personal values. Effectively, it became the most common way in which news of any changes at Rome's head would be communicated throughout the empire, from the wilds of Britain to the deserts of Asia Minor. A new emperor on the throne, a new head on the coin. It's ironic that this small disc should become so symbolic of the aspiration to return from tyrannicism to republicanism. For at such a time, important changes. This revolutionary fragment actually marked the plan to turn back the clock. Brutus did not seek to personally replace the rule of Caesar. He sought to once more, copying his possibly ancient forebear, to return to Rome's purer republican rule. It was not change, but conservation that he sought. And yet, in the act of pursuing this small coin caught the moment in the autumn of 42 BC, when you could have met them at the close of the day, coming with vivid faces, passed with the nod of the head, or polite meaningless words, and where all was changed utterly. Thank you.